So we've decided to just kind of do a more laid back, episode where we just kind of shoot the shit and get to know each other a little bit more. But, we've got Bran. Bran, what's your last name?
Douglas.
Bran Douglas. Where are you from, Bran?
Prince George. Prince Rupert originally, but
PG.
but PG is where I grew up, up north.
Prince Rupert. Ron, where were you from? You're from Campbell River. Powell River. PR, PG, and what was the other one you just said?
Prince Rupert, or
PR.
PG, that's me.
When did you get to Victoria?
Like, honestly, 7 months ago. I've been here, pretty fresh,
Okay.
And I just started here like, a month ago now?
Yeah. He's new blood.
New blood.
But
yeah, it's been awesome. It's been great. I'm finally finding myself here in Victoria, which is nice. And it's been good.
What's the difference been since you gotten here in regard to energy in Victoria and island energy versus mainland energy?
I was in Vancouver before. Vancouver is definitely more like cliquey, right? Super, I don't know, lack of a better term, people are assholes there. But I mean, and mind you, everybody's like, there's great people everywhere, right? But it's harder to like connect with people, especially coming from a small place where like you could go to a bar, meet somebody random, their third cousin, you're like, all right, I'm staying over for the night, right? Like it's
Right.
it's a very different dynamic.
Kind of like that here a bit.
Yeah, and I'm
Be
starting to figure that out, right? But that was Vancouver. Here I find, again, it's more towards the side of welcoming, I guess.
That island energy, like I said, it's because we're all sort of stuck here, right?
Yeah.
We grow up with the same people forever, even on the whole island, Yeah. So working with Coco, how's it been?
Oh,
you guys are already getting
Watch your
along
mouth.
you guys are getting along so well. That's why I was excited to have you on here.
I love it. I don't know. Coco doesn't know this, but honestly, it saved me from I was not having a great time before. I was having troubles like finding a job here. She doesn't know how much this means to me, like being able to work here and like, this is my spot. She texted me, funny enough, I'm about to expose her. But after like my first 1 or 2 days, she texted me, she's like, or it was like the first week. And she's like, hey, is everything okay? Like, I just want like, if you ever have any problems, let me know, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, listen, you don't even know. Like, this is the best experience I've had so far. I've dealt with a lot of BS when it comes to the barber and like cosmetic industry. It's been tough for me. And then coming to Victoria and having the troubles I had at first. So I'm nothing but happy and thankful for everything I've gotten here. And it's been awesome. So
Yeah,
far.
I mean, like I gotta be honest. Fucking kid can cut some hair.
Oh yeah.
Holy
Come on,
shit.
Fresh Prince, let's go.
Yeah, like Jesus. I watch
Crazy.
some of these cuts and especially on black hair. Good God, man. Black hair, obviously everybody knows out there is much more complicated to cut than just typical, white hair. Don't get me wrong, there's white people who have just as equally as complicated hair. But but typically black hair is but you fucking, like I said, the barbershop, he's that white guy from the barbershop, which you still haven't seen, which is just mind-blowing to me. But okay, so what I wanted to get into and just kind of pick your brains to kind of take this conversation, see where it goes, is, I thought we'd start talking about high school. Ooh. And I really wanted to get, we'll bounce over to you in a second, Bran, but I kind of wanted to pick, young Coco's brain about high school and, and start with, what was your favorite part, not necessarily high school, but of just your education process? Where does it, like, if you had to pick, was it elementary school, middle school, or high school? What would you say your favorite, most
Tough.
like,
I'd say high school, like best and worst. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think high school is the time that you grow the most. I definitely was a garbage kid for a while until I kind of found my way.
in what way?
Well, I grew up in Souk, so you kind of grow up with all the same fucking people and you get along or don't get along with them. I didn't really fit in, and then I ended up going out here to Belmont, which I fit in even less, shockingly. But I found the hair program there, and that kind
Really?
of...
Belmont? Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's why I went there.
Yeah. Okay.
And it gave me kind of like a path, right? I figured out I'm not a total idiot and like I can get higher than a C- on something.
So what was it about school initially that sort of was difficult?
It was tough to focus, and I feel like I didn't really learn about anything I really cared about. I liked like science and chemistry, but math, I'm garbage at it. English, I still suck.
But I mean, like, yeah, that's the academic aspect. But what
like
was the
the
social
social
aspect of it for you? Like,
Social was tough. I've always been like not like the normal, like popular girl. I was always kind of the weirdo that hung out with the dudes and partied on the weekend and didn't really fit in with the cool kids.
now, what was it about you that you can think of now, self-reflecting, going, what was it about you that made, and I don't mean like give me the politically correct answer.
Yeah.
Like, what was it about that situation, that time, that was difficult for you? Because I mean, me and you, we kind of hate people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we love people, but we hate people.
Yeah. I got
You
picked
know?
on a lot.
Yeah.
I think middle school is my toughest one just because I was this tall in middle school. So everybody would call me, terrible things.
See, I'm not tall, right? I'm 5'9".
Yeah.
So I the reason why I ask is because,
There's two sides of it, right?
right? And you being taller,
Yeah.
like now.
The Amazon freak fucking
So you're 5'11"?
5'11" and a half.
Really?
Yeah.
So didn't, I think in one of the earlier podcasts, you even said 5'10" and a half.
11 and a half always. I stand on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I don't stand like a
I
shrimp.
might have to go back through and take a
I'll
look.
get the tape measure.
I'll take a look. But no, I know that there are a lot of taller women out there that lie about their height. They'll say they're not as tall. as
shorter
they are.
or slouch.
Yeah.
No, it was tough, but I always played sports and stuff, so that was kind of a good vice for me.
Okay.
It was
What
nice.
was your sport?
Basketball, volleyball.
Okay.
Mostly basketball.
Same.
Interesting. Brian, how tall are you?
Oh God,
He
we were
doesn't
just
even
talking
know we were
about this,
arguing about this
I
today.
think
I think he's 6'1".
but
Really?
I think in the doctors, I think I was 6'1".
Your posture's terrible, bro.
Yeah.
I know.
He sits
Like,
like,
if
a
I-
shrimp.
no,
Yeah,
but
you
if-
got to work on that posture. Because if you're 6'1", good God, you don't look 6'1" to
I've
me.
been spraying him
but
with my spray bottle.
No, this is what I was gonna say though. If I stand up straight and like
He's
straight
6'8".
posture, like with the doctor, I'm like just under 6'1".
We got to work on that.
I know we do.
We got to work.
I've been
gotta work
spraying
on
him
a
with
lot
my
of
spray
things.
bottle when I see him cutting hair like a fucking dumpling.
No, no, it's the worst thing when I cut too.
Oh, I
though.
just
Like,
kicked
I'm,
my
like,
camera.
hunched.
Did I mess that up? No? Okay. Yeah, sorry. That's hilarious. Yeah, no, it's not good. You're 6'1". That's a fucking
What's the
great
point?
height,
And-
man.
and
That's
I'm
a great height.
And I'm fucking 21. Like, but it was. You know what I think? Sorry to stray off topic, but you know
No,
what?
no.
You know what I think it is. When I was like in high school, I was super skinny kid, like anorexically skinny, like no muscle, and I always found myself hunching. Like that was just consistently. I always like throughout like since I was like 14. I always did that.
Everybody does it,
I was a gamer too, so I feel like I was always
does it.
and when I started lifting is when I started like I just naturally postured up, and I haven't been lately. So I've definitely noticed myself. Which is
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, it's common everywhere now, man. It's common everywhere. So let's talk about your little high school experience. You just finished.
Well,
You
no, I
barely
mean,
finished
four-
last week.
like 4 years
Yeah.
ago, but yeah.
I mean, that's pretty close
For
compared
you
to her and
guys.
I, right? Like, yeah.
But yeah. What about high school?
Well,
There's millions of different things.
were you a popular kid? Were you?
God, I don't
did you
know.
go
I think I went
any,
through-
any degree of bullying.
Yeah, I think I went through all of the phases of high school, and why I'm a big believer in bring bullying back because it made me who I am today.
Yeah,
But I understand there's-
bullying.
Within reason.
there's two sides of it. It's a double-edged sword. So I don't know. When I was in high school, I went through all the phases. I went to high school early, so unlike you two, I didn't have middle school. In Prince George, we didn't have that, and we went. So elementary was 1 to 8,
Wow.
and then 8 to 12 was high school. But I actually went early, so I went to high school in grade 7. And me and Ella were just talking about this. It's like I was like 13 when I went to high school. So with 18-year-olds, 13, 14.
And what grade was that? Yeah.
Grade 7.
Grade 7. Yeah. That's how it was for me.
Yeah.
That's how it was for me. That's crazy that you went through the same thing, hey? Yeah. I'll never forget showing up at 13 to 12, grade 7. They take you for like the grade 8
Orientation.
Yeah,
orientation.
You go over and you check everything out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget showing up, and I was a pretty little guy, right? Like I think, I had just broken 80 pounds in grade 8, and or not even grade 8, like over the summer of grade 7, transitioning to grade 8, I think I broke the 80-pound mark, and I'll never forget being in that orientation in the gymnasium and looking around, being like, "Holy crap! There's dudes with beards here."
Yeah.
Why? And it was always the East Indian guys, right? The East Indian guys all had beards. And I remember thinking, I am way too small for this.
I don't even have leg hair
Yeah,
yet.
like why does this have to be happening to me right now? It's high school. Fuck, that's crazy that you went through that. I didn't realize that they still
Yeah.
had that even anywhere.
Well, I think still in PG we don't have middle school. So usually it's grade 8. I went a bit early. Honestly, I wasn't smart or anything. I just had an opportunity to do so, and all my friends were a year older. So I was like fuck yeah, let's go to high school. And it was a big thing, right? Like high school's a crazy thing when you're that age. So I was excited at first definitely to do that.
So what was high school like for you? Were you like, and earlier I asked it, were you a popular kid? Were you,
Well,
you were saying earlier as well that you were a gamer. So
yeah. Well, I've always been.
what was it like to be a gamer in this generation? Like my son and you are the same age. I watched as from a parental perspective. So I never really talked to my son. I always tried to be a parent when he was a kid and didn't want to be too much of his buddy because I felt like it was more important to be his parent. But I went through, my gaming era and I'm very curious to know what it was like, for a 21-year-old of this generation to go through the gaming high school. Because, I mean, that's everything in high school now.
Yeah.
It's video games, social media, and like...
Well, it's all on the phone, right?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I wasn't like... It wasn't a problem for me. All of my friends did it. Like, and again, we'll go back into it. When I was like grade 7 and went in, I was very like... I find like caring about like social... like the social life of high school, I didn't even care about. I was too early on. I didn't really think about it. So I had my 3-4 homies, and then that was it. Like I didn't care about the grade 11, like, looking at me funny and making these comments because like, I don't know you. I don't care about you. I was too young to like have that insecurity within myself. But as soon as I started going through the years, so like grade 8, grade 9 is when I started caring. And I look back and I hate it. And I cared way too much about what people thought about me and changed who I was. And yeah, grade 8, grade 9 was it wasn't tough, but it was me like trying to figure myself out socially. Like, who am I? Like, am I this person? So I did drop, like I stopped playing video games. And I don't think I did that because I felt like I needed to. It's just naturally how my course went. Right. And I became into sports like basketball. Like basketball was a big thing. So
you got distracted.
Yeah. And that was a big thing for me though. Like that helped me socially was basketball because all the guys, right? Like all these like people I looked up to, all these douchebags actually now I look back on it like they're all hoopers, right? And I'm like, I want to be like that. And so it helped me out through those years. And then I think in grade 11 and 12, like it's weird when you talk about popularity where I'm from because everybody knows everybody. So like there is popular kids. And when I was in high school, I viewed it as that. But when I graduated and stuff, as I graduated and started connecting with people from like other high schools and stuff, like, man, nobody's popular. You're all a bunch of losers, bro. Like you guys are just people that talk to more people than I talk to. It's not about, you know what I mean? Like everybody talks shit about you. Everybody talks shit about you. You talk shit about your best friend and I hear you do it. And then your best friend's like, it's all BS. So now that I look back on it, I don't think popularity is even a thing people should be concerned about because it's just this, it's not even a real thing. Me and Elle were just talking about that, saying that like there's people I grew up with these were.
And Elle is?
Her.
My girlfriend.
Your girlfriend.
Yeah,
She's
sorry, I didn't
cutest.
clarify.
That's okay.
But we were talking about like how because we both grew up in PG.
Really?
And yeah, we did.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
We didn't connect, but we when we knew each
so
other.
you guys moved here together?
No. She was out here before I was. I was in Vancouver.
way.
Yeah. We didn't connect until I came out here. Really.
Oh, we love a good love story.
But we were talking about this earlier, and we like a lot of people I know back home, like, and not all of them. They're all doing their own thing. Bless them. They're doing their thing. But we see a lot of people, these popular people, they're doing the same shit we were doing when we were in grade 11, like. Partying, doing a bunch of bullshit, and they're going nowhere with their lives. And you know what? I'm a strong believer in everybody is on their own path, and people like, some people are a millionaire at 40 and some people are a millionaire at 80. Like,
and some people peaked in high school and that was it.
Well, that's a thing too. But like they were capping too early, man. They went too fast. And now we look back on them and we're talking about it the other day and we're like, damn, like you were doing the exact same thing we were doing when we were in grade 11, grade 12, just graduating, and all good to you, man. I feel like everybody should have those years in their life, but you're like 25 and you're still doing that shit. Come on. That's
called karma is a bitch.
Yeah. Like
you were an asshole in high school and that's where you stayed.
Yeah. Have some like motivation to your life. And that's also a big reason why I ended up leaving PG because I got stuck in that for a little bit. I'm not perfect. I look back, there's a lot of things I don't like about my past. And that's one of the things I got tied into that and went down a bad road.
Cared too much about what people thought.
Yeah. No, exactly. That like when I graduated, I was trying to please everybody. Yeah. And I'll tell you a story right now. I was being friends with too many people. I honestly, in the moment, thought they were my friends. All these people, because all my life I've been like if I'm friendly to somebody, why can't they be friendly to me? Why is there no baggage with that, right?
It's very easy to pick the wrong friends.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, no,
very
100%.
Well, and you see people's true colors later, right?
People will pick the wrong friends through their whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I went, like I was blind, I couldn't see it, and I'm friends with this person, and I just thought, you know what, I'm a person that likes a lot of people. Like, what's wrong with that?
But that's
and
a
then,
problem between friend groups.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And then as soon, or within the same one too. And then as soon as I fucking left, I was like, fuck it. Like me and my mom had to talk. I was getting to some rough shit, and me and my mom had to talk, and we're like, okay, I need to just do something. And school wasn't an option for me. Like I didn't come from a lot of money, so I didn't have this trust fund or this money set up for myself. So school, one, I wasn't the smartest kid, but school, like if I was gonna spend $60,000 to go to school, I needed to know for sure that's what I wanted to do, and I could not figure it out for like the life of me. So then I was like,
What was $60,000?
well, just tuition after 4 or 5 years.
Which program?
Well, I don't
for
know, you go to
normal
any
stuff.
university.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you went to university?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I passed up on
I was
that.
gonna
Yeah.
say, okay, because barbering, I was like,
No. But barbering is still some bullshit too.
Yeah, it's like what,
Yeah.
12, 13 now?
Yeah.
Mine
like
was
I-
16 because I did hair. You too.
Right,
Yeah.
Mine was
'cause
barbering
I just
full
did
time.
cosmetology.
Mine was barbering, did full time. It was like 11,000, 12,000 after tax. It was some B. And you know what? I was dog shit coming out of school. Like I was not
Most
good.
people are.
Every fucking buddy is.
You don't learn.
You learn the
anything in
basics.
School. You don't learn
Yeah.
anything in school. You
My
learn
favorite-
trial and error once you hit the floor.
My favorite was like, I remember graduating with like my group from hair school, and everyone's like, I'm opening my own salon. I'm doing this. And like, I wanted to do the same fucking thing. And I look back and I'm like, shit, bro. Like, thank the fuck I didn't. Cause I would be probably working at McDonald's now because I fucked up half of Victoria's hair.
Yeah.
This is not true, but
It is.
But let's get back to you. So let's talk about high school for women, because it's very different.
It's tough.
a very different situation, right? Like us guys, we go through like that. Oh, you gotta man up. You gotta learn to stand up to your bullies, and you gotta learn to be, take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Whereas girls, it's like girls are vicious, man.
Vicious, dude. They're crazy.
When they don't forget.
No.
Whereas guys tend to, when we have an issue,
You fight and you
we
get over it the
fight.
next day.
Yes.
And I've been in many fights, and every time I've been in a fight with somebody, those guys are still my friends to this day.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Those guys are my friends now.
I have a fun little story. Sorry to cut you off.
Go off.
Yeah.
Me and my best homie, we were been best friends since like grade 6. And just to pitch on what you were saying, we've only had a few issues through our life because we don't talk shit behind each other's back. And the one time when we get in each other's nerves and it goes too far, we just fight. Fist fight. One
Hell
time
yeah.
we were in a sport check and one of us said some bullshit and we just started
Not the
fighting.
sports check.
We got kicked out. My mom pulls up, picks us up. 5 minutes, quiet car ride, and we're good. So,
How old were you?
oh God, we're like 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Brand, you're dope, man.
Anyways.
Yeah, let's talk about, like I said, what's it like being, high school for a nearly 6-foot girl?
It was Vish. Well,
And you're obviously an attractive girl. Like, you've always been a babe.
Thanks, Matt.
So what was that like being, because I imagine
It was
having any
cattiness.
degree of attractive quality as a woman just puts a fucking target on you.
I was fucking weird looking in high school. I had weird eyebrows.
I don't know what you looked like in high school.
will never
but
show you.
I remember seeing, we've followed each other on social media
Forever.
for close
Yeah.
to 10 years. So I've seen a bit of a transition, and you've always been,
High school was tough because I was like trying to find myself. I remember like going to school in Souk, and I remember I was like one of the first people to shave the side of their head because I wasn't the blonde haired Abercrombie wearing bitch. I was wearing a fucking Etnies backpack and Osiris high tops, and everybody thought I was weird. But I remember when I shaved the side of my head, and I remember like standing in the front of my old school and the popular girls being like, "What are you, a fucking lesbian?" And then like
They really say that, eh?
100%. And I was like so self-conscious of it. I'd literally like gel my hair the other way, like so no one would see
And
it.
just for reference point, what year would that be?
That would be 2009 or 10.
Okay.
Which is not long ago.
Not long
so
ago
grade
at
9,
all.
grade
I mean,
10 for
in
me.
retrospect, yeah.
And yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, you're weird." And then when I ended up going to like my other school, Belmont, I went in there and I'm like, I'm gonna be awesome. Like I'm gonna make so many friends. And everyone's like, "Oh, the Souk bitch is here. Like, why are you here?" And I was like, "Bro, it's like my fucking first week." Like, and then I was probably not the best student, did some stupid stuff, and everybody was like, oh, what, are you going to fucking hit me? Are you going to punch me? I never fought at
Should have
that.
punched him.
Oh, fuck, if I could go back.
Let me ask you a question. For we've all, the three of us are from different generations
Yep.
of high school. I graduated in 2000. You graduated in
2012.
and you graduated in
2020.
2020. Because for me, social media was not an issue in high school, right? So when high school ended, that was it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, I'm
Goodbye.
done. I get to move on with my life. I get to go be a normal person. And then a few years down the road, social media kicked in with Facebook, and I joined it, I think, in 2007. So for you guys, it's like it was
Mine was just starting.
and
I'm
you, it
thankful
was
for that.
always a part of it.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
So how did that factor in with like bullying and
Bullying was fucked.
Yeah, I
Because
imagine.
my generation is like, my high school generation is the dirty. Do you remember the dirty dozen or whatever that?
Oh my God.
I was posted on that 4 times and I was never that kind of person. It was the fucking, I know exactly who it is and I know who you are, but it was the popular girls posting bullshit about me because I had friends. I was friends with the guys, and anything is valid if you post it online, right?
Yeah.
I'm just thankful that was it. Like, brands got Snapchat, Instagram. Like, I remember back in high school and people would fight and we'd do it on our Razor. What is that? The Razor phones.
The Motorola Razor?
The Motorola Razors. And it looks like they were recorded on a potato, but you can't upload that to Facebook. You can't. They're fucked. That generation, good luck.
Well, I mean, for like I said, for us, it was like we just detached from high school. Now, high school is prolonged by like fucking 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
15 years.
If not longer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 42 years old now, and I'm, for the first time in my life, my adult life, starting to finally feel that separation from that.
I'm jealous.
From that concern of what the population around me think about me.
Yeah.
I think that started happening for most people after high school, right? Before social media, that happened right away. And now it just follows you. You can't be 18, 19, 20, 21 years old and get away from the popularity contest at all.
Well, I know 30-year-olds that are trying to be popular.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
dads that
we're
are
all
trying to be popular.
we're all
Still
stuck in this
goof, man.
this need to be relevant, especially in a technological society where all advertising is done through social media and online content, right? I mean, God, the only way to survive now is to have some degree of relevance online.
And likes. People care about likes.
Crazy.
That was a big thing when I was here. It's funny though, you say that like it was all my childhood, because for me it wasn't. I didn't have a phone until I was like I had when the phones that are like, it's like a regular, like, just has the numbers and you swipe up and it has a little keyboard.
Ooh, yes,
like
those are sweet.
That's what my mom gave me. She's like, you're on a bus, you need this now just in case. And then when I got into high school, I'm like, Mom, all these people are Snapchatting this, that, and the third. I'm like, I need one of these. So I got like a Moto G, some piece of shit phone. Anyways, but I didn't get into it later, so I didn't like care. But I remember when I first got into Instagram, and this was when Instagram was kind of new. I don't know what it was, 2014 or something like that. And I remember in my head, this is such a funny, I kind of cringe at myself for this, but I'd be like, oh, I need to post 3 times a week at this date to keep up with all these people. And man, I don't do that shit no more. But when I was in grade 8, I was like, I had a schedule for posting, and it wouldn't even be like and I was so like, I don't know, I didn't have some cool thing to post. It would be something, meme or whatever it was, but I need to keep that. And I look back on them like, that is crazy, man. I haven't posted on Instagram since, I might have recently, but it's like a year maybe. And also I've noticed this, when you are posting shit that is stupid, I think is stupid, like partying, for example, or you're in big social cliques and you're really focusing about the social aspect of things, you look at your likes, you're getting these like, as soon as I left PG and I started just posting shit I wanted to post, I wanted to be me lifting, me getting to the gym, me starting my cutting journey, all this stuff, I noticed that man, nobody likes my shit. Nobody wants to support me. As soon as I was posting like photos of me drinking and all this bullshit, getting all these likes, I moved to Vancouver. I was in cutting school. I make this Instagram like, oh, go on like this. Only like so many of these people, like not even a quarter of the people that are liking this bullshit I was posting are following me, sharing my stuff, promoting me, trying to help me out. I thought that was the biggest fucked up thing.
Because you're doing good.
Yeah, and when
jealous.
Well, and now I know that, but at the time I was so hurt by that. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, all you really fell off. Like, I would support you for anything you do, and I really, that blew my mind.
I think we go through. I think society goes through these ebbs and flows of where we want to support one another and then we don't. You know what I mean? Where I feel like we're in a place now in our society where we're in a downturn, right? Like people are all hurting, people are all frustrated. We're all sort of feeling the snapback from, you know, COVID and the blip and whatever you want to call it. And I think because we're all feeling that, we forget that we're all kind of stuck in this situation. And yeah, now it's like, I totally get what you mean. Like I feel I struggle with feeling supported, even by my closest friends.
I support you.
I know.
And you.
I know. We all
like
support,
a bra.
We all support each other.
Yeah.
And but it does feel, you know, like the world is against you a lot of the time. You know,
And imposter syndrome. That is the fucking
well,
word.
imposter syndrom.
You never heard of imposter syndrome?
I've heard of that, but I don't really know too much. Remind me.
For me personally, it was like anxiety and like doom and gloom. You're not good. When I opened this place, I cried for 3 months every night. I fucked up. No one's going to support me. This was a mistake. It's not seeing what you're doing as good, but seeing it for every flaw that you've ever had. It's a crazy fucking
Has depression always been a thing for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Big time. I just got off the anti-anxieties.
Yeah.
Like maybe a year and a half ago. But it's weird to feel feelings, right? And I think that's why I felt this imposter syndrome is, you know, I'm never going to be good enough. My haircuts are fucking ass. Brand's favorite word. And like, you know, just people they're not going to be proud. They're going to talk shit and like, you know, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're fat, you're dumb. Like,
well, and this is the thing, right? Like, I mean, we can be frustrated and have anger towards aspects of our society because I'm a father and because I've been through so many ups and downs with depression and with, you know, just states of my, you know, existence. It's just ebbs and flows all the time. You know, you get used to that. And, you know, for me, I can't help but anytime, especially when people have children, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. You know what I mean? When I see relationships now, you know, even though I'm single, I'm rooting for you. And the reason why I'm rooting for you is because the world is in a really sad place. I feel like if we just were to be more supportive of one another and less, you know, judgmental and more open to conversations. I mean, now you can't even open your mouth about anything without having to worry about how that's going to affect maybe your business. You know, I mean, you and I, we both work in a public eye, you as well, obviously, but you know, you're running your own business. I've run my own business, and you learn to hold back your feelings because you're afraid of how it's going to affect your business. And fair, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, but it shouldn't affect your business as much as it does now.
And you can say one wrong thing and done.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. But like what I find is your opinions are your opinions. My opinions are mine. Mine aren't yours. Like everybody has their own opinion, and you shouldn't hate someone just because of how they have an outlook on life. Like
a slight nuance.
A slight nuance. Like I have clients that they say stuff that I fucking left field disagree with, and I'm just like, just carry on. It is what it is. And I don't hate said person for how they feel, and I don't, you know, it's a crazy thing to me that, you know, I can like the color red and Brand can like the color yellow, and he's like, fuck that bitch, red sucks.
Yeah.
And then, 100%. You know, he tells 20 people and everybody hates me now.
I got a good point about that, actually. It goes to the more political side, and I won't get into specifics, but I have a lot of ethnicities, friends. Yeah. And I have like one or two white friends, and everybody else is from a different race, different religion. And my best friend's Muslim. And so my parent, like I was adopted, so my parents are lesbian. Like what I grew up with, I was growing in a lesbian household. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So, get out of here.
So I grew up.
That's amazing, dude. Yeah. Like you're a fucking straight up masculine dude to me. That's great.
No, yeah.
That's great.
And mind you, my mama is that butch. So I love her to death, but she taught me as much as she could about, you know, being a man.
That's
but
awesome. Wow.
But anyways, to get into it, my best friend's Muslim and religiously obviously has different views on life than I do. And that's cool, man. Do your thing. Like, I get that, right? If I got adopted into a Muslim family, I'd be Muslim and I would have Muslim views and put different political views and different society views, everything. Like, it doesn't matter with religion even. And he, I won't get into too much, but he has different beliefs when it comes to that sort of thing. And I have multiple friends that are Muslim, multiple friends that are Sikh, multiple friends that are Christian. I have a good friend from barber school that's super duper Christian. And I have multiple friends that are atheists and don't believe in anything, and people that are spiritual, like my girlfriend, she's super spiritual. But my friend...
How old is your girlfriend?
She's 23 now. She just turned 23.
Older lady. Older lady.
Happy birthday, Ella.
Yeah, no, I like
you.
myself the MILFs.
And by the way, these are very delicious. Yeah, these are very delicious.
But anyways, my friend Tauntaun, he just has some different religious beliefs, and it doesn't align with how I grew up. Mm-hmm. And I think that he's like him and his family is definitely stern on those beliefs, and it has no problem to me whatsoever. Because I understand, like what we were talking about earlier. Like I understand, like everybody grows up a different way. Everybody grows up with different things around them. Like if I was a kid and I grew up in a KKK household,
Sheesh.
well, I know it's a bit strong, but like would I be thinking a little bit differently? Probably. Like that's just how things work. You're influenced when you're a
100%.
child. You're influenced by people around
You watch MMA, right?
Yeah.
Sean Strickland.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And my friend just has different beliefs from his religion. And does he love my mom to death? Bro, I've never had a friend that loved my mom so much. He loves my mom to death. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't give a shit about two things. Mm-hmm. Does he still have his beliefs on certain things that maybe I don't agree with? Sure, but do I hate him because of it? No. I love him to death, man. Like I do anything for that guy. He'd do anything for me. He's my best friend.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we've lost touch. And I like when we come to even discussions about anything like political nowadays, right? You talk about left, right, vaccine, no vaccine, housing even. You could talk about anything nowadays. And if somebody doesn't agree with you, like you're Satan almost to them, mm-hmm. right? And I feel like that's a problem we have because I feel like the world's almost never hated each other as much as we do now. Yeah. And it's pretty sad because, man, if so-and-so wants to believe what they want to believe and you don't want to fuck with them, that's cool. Then just bounce. Like you don't have to deal with them. Just surround yourself with people that you want to associate yourself with. If you want to make that sacrifice for them, then great. But for my purpose and my friendship with them, like, I might not agree with them, but you know what? You do what you got to do. I understand why you believe in what you believe in, and that's cool, man. Do your thing.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Yeah, exactly,
I feel like
Stop
most
caring.
people nowadays that I interact with, and I think we can all attest to this. I think most people seem, when you're sitting alone with them for a long enough period of time, most people have a degree of sense where they can acknowledge that right now where we are as a society today ain't working.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think most
100%.
people can acknowledge it ain't working.
They're scared to say it.
I find a lot of people now are kind of like the shoot first, ask questions last. Like the other day I had a friend kind of say a bunch of stuff and then 2 days later apologize for all of it because she just act on emotion and then kind of realized what she said, and a couple days later cooled down, said, "That's not me. I didn't mean to say that." And I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But I wish people would kind of think about the whole situation first, take a breath, and then see if you still want to react the same way. Mm-hmm. I find that a lot more lately, that people just jump right down your throat.
Yeah.
Not in the good way.
I think it has a lot to do with our economy as well, right?
Yeah.
People are frustrated, short-tempered.
Don't even want to hear like
Your
the
reasoning.
reason. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, are we really being taught to control our emotions right now?
Hell
or are
no.
most people being taught
to explode? That's
explode.
What
like how do your family, like your parents, feel about some of your belief systems? Because you do have a very balanced, more moderate left, which moderates have become the right-leaning people right, in our society now. Yeah. Are your family right-leaning?
Well, I think both my parents, they're separated, so they have different beliefs and things, and even if they were together, they have different beliefs. But my mother that adopted me, she I feel like she's more along my lines of things, and I kind of follow her footsteps in that sort. Like I don't know, she's just very like man, you guys are soft. Like, just let it go. It's okay. Just live. You know, just be happy. And,
How old is your mom?
Oh, like 52.
Now you have two mothers, right?
Two mothers. So my mom that adopted me was single at the time.
Yeah.
She adopted me, but she had a spouse that I grew up for the majority of after I got adopted with. They ended up splitting up, but I was with her for so long, I see her as my stepmother.
Yeah.
So my stepmother is definitely left, man. And even if she watches this, because I know you might, you are a left human. And that's okay. And my adoption mother, she's partially left as well with some beliefs, but with society and like how you are as a man and stuff, she definitely agrees with like what I have to say about that. And well, that's what I learned from her,
That's
right? Like
really
just be
impressive.
Independent and
It's really
strong
impressive.
and, yeah.
Double moms for the win.
Double moms. Actually, I've had like 6 moms, but
Well, it takes a very strong mind, and sounds like your adopted mother has a very strong mind, because it takes a very strong mind to resist society's pressures to adopt certain ideologies based on your, position in life.
well, my mother, like everybody I've grown up around, they've been through some shit, man. Like they've had life, they've lived life, they've done. And so when it comes to shit like, oh my God, like I brought this up earlier, are you putting the jelly on first? Like, fuck you. Like, but that shit does not matter. Like, you know what I mean? Like half of the issues, like relax. Cause
Unless you put milk in before your cereal.
And this might be
That's
this might be a toxic trait on me, but I really view a lot of issues that like particular people, no, not particular people, just individually you might go through and you complain about. It's hard because everybody has their own pile of shit and it's hard to like compare yourself to them. But
And they all stink.
a lot of people I've known, they complain about some bullshit and I think it's stupid. I'm like, I've seen stuff and I've seen other people go through some stuff that is way worse than what you've went through. And not to say that that's not valid for you, but man, like, shut up. Like,
Well, when I was a kid, discipline was still kind of a relevant thing, even in the school system. I'll never forget in grade 3 or 4, Mrs. DeVries taking Derek Dubois' fucking head and driving it into his work, like coming up behind him. I'm sitting right behind Derek, and she grabs him by the back of the neck and she pushes his head into his book, and all I see is his fucking hands flailing above his head like this, and she's, do your work. And I remember thinking, holy shit, I gotta do my work. Good Lord, I don't want to end up like that. And that was really the last time I ever saw any kind of discipline like that in schools. She had, I think at some point during that school year, she had grabbed a couple of students by the arm and dragged them to the cloakroom and, you wait here. Okay. And that obviously stopped, because I don't think any of you ever experienced any degree of kind of,
man, if they touched me in high school, bro, they'd be going to jail.
Right?
Bro.
Right. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We say that with a smile on our face now because we acquired this like disdain for teachers, right? And that shouldn't have been the case. No. We should have really been valuing our educators, and we grew to hate our educators like they were our oppressors. And we, our parents came to our aid on our defense, and we would go home and play the victim card constantly, trying to be a victim to our parents. My principal did this to me and my teacher did this to me. And at some point along the way, it just transitioned into this discipline is just not something we do anymore at all. I mean, even parents are afraid to discipline their children, know?
I mean, I don't think you should start beating your kid and throw him in a closet.
Of course not.
But I don't know. You need some like.
There's no fear of consequence anymore.
That's a little bit
in our
satire,
society.
but I see some kids on the street. I'm like, you need to get your ass beat. Like you're being a dummy. I've been in the grocery store and I've seen a kid screaming at their mother and telling them to shut up and you're this, that, and the third over nothing. And I'm like, how do you even speak to your mom like that? I don't understand. Like, that blows my mind. And I'm younger. And I still like, even I think that. I'm like, how the fuck are you walking around talking to people like that? That doesn't make any sense to me. It blows my mind. And I mean, a lot of the people I've grown up to, we've all talked about it, like how is this 10-year-old speaking to their mother like that? That is insane.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's honestly sad. It's a sad thing because that must be tough on the mother. I feel bad, bro.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, and you know, he's 10 years younger than you. Close.
Growing up, the worst thing I could ever say to my mother was shut up. Like that was like me telling her the worst word in the world. I got so many little, you don't say that in this house. And that was the worst word you can say. And still to this day, because I say it like in context, like, oh, shut up. My mom will just like, the devil eyes. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
I said that to my dad once.
And that was it.
It was a mistake.
One and
When
done.
did you say that?
When we were camping.
How old were you?
I was probably like 10, maybe 11, and the little girl that you brought, it was a group of your friends, and she put sand in my hair, and I think I pushed her or something like that. And you're like, well, you got, I forget what exactly happened, but you came over to discipline me not to do that. And I was pissed that I had sand in my hair. So I'm like, shut up, Dad. And I just remember this demon look. I was like, no.
Just
and I think I just went back in the tent and you threw me in the fucking tent.
Well, you know,
But you need that.
one of the things Julian, I'll never forget him saying when he was in high school was, and the funny thing is like, I'd never laid a hand on my kid. I think I'd give him a couple of smacks across the back of the head when he was like 4 and 5. You know what I mean?
Deserved.
As a parent, you always regret any degree of discipline that you have to enforce on your child. But I'll never forget, you know, this moment. I can't remember what age he was. We were living in West Hills, and he said, oh, I remember saying to my buddies, oh, I can't do that because my dad will kick my ass. And I can't remember how old he was, but I remember thinking, wait a second, I've never kicked your ass. I've never even laid a hand on you. And then I thought, you know what? That's a good thing that he thinks that.
Yeah.
That means it's a job well done. I've enforced enough discipline in his life to where he thinks, holy shit, I can't cross these boundaries because in some way he was convinced that his dad would kick his ass, and he would at least tell his friends that. So it was a way for him to get out of things with his friends too, right? Because if his friends were putting pressure on him to do things he didn't want to do, oh no, I can't do that. My dad will kick my ass. You know, and then the boys were like, nah, okay, well, I can't fault you for that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and thankfully I'm not a scrawny looking, weak looking dad for him. He was always proud of like, oh yeah, my dad's jacked. He would always say to his buddies, right? And I don't know if I ever, at that time I was, but you know, to have your son thinking of you that way, that was always a great thing. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things now where I don't think, you know, I've got a sister who has 3 kids, and I hate to say things negatively about, you know, any family members, but she struggled with discipline with them because she chose to be, and I hate to say this, you know, sorry Samantha for saying this, but you know, she chose to be their friends first and foremost versus being their parent. And I've always said my kid is going to have enough friends in his life that he doesn't need me to be one of those people right now. And him and I have become, you know, I mean, he's my best friend now. I mean, you know, that sounds cheesy and corny, but no, it is. And it, you know, because I think, you know, going back to what we had said earlier, it's really easy to choose the wrong friends. And, you know, I think over the past 10 years, I've potentially put too much stock in the wrong group of friends. And I'm actually reacquainting myself with an old group of friends now, which I should have put most of my stock into. But, you know, you get tangled up in this pursuit of success in our society now. And I think because of that pursuit of money, wealth, success, and social status and all that kind of thing, we can put our focus into the wrong people. And those people can create the wrong priorities. And those priorities can throw us out of whack, pull us right out of balance, focus too much energy on acquiring, you know, social status. You know, and yeah, social status is important, of course. But, you know, again, like going back to what I was talking about with Andrew and Aaron in the last podcast, is all life is about balance, you know?
That's what I was going to say with you though. Like with how you say like discipline, right? And the friend, like, oh, the way was being too much of a friend. I feel like that's a good balance to have though, right? Like my mother was super like, oh, and I'd be like, oh, she's gonna beat my ass if I do this. But also my stepmother.
I'd love to meet your mother. It sounds like we need to meet
Too,
this
I wanna meet
woman.
her so bad.
Yeah, we need to meet
Oh,
this woman.
you guys would love her. Maybe
Just
we'll
say
have her on
good
the
job.
podcast one day.
Yeah.
But she, my stepmother was very the opposite. She was very like, oh, take care of, hug,
Gentle parent.
gentle parent. So and they bumped heads a lot on that. And I look back on it now, and I feel like in the moment maybe I had an issue with that. I was like, oh, come on, guys, like make up your fucking mind in my head, right? But now that I look back, I'm like, I had the best of both worlds. Because one, I didn't get raised to be a piece of shit. Because I've seen that where you're like, you're just a big dickhead that's on top of your high horse, and I've seen a kid go to a fight with his dad watching because his dad said fight him and get his ass knocked out, right? Like,
Proud moment.
people, well, exactly. But like you get too much on one side of things and you're something else.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's what I got from my parents, whereas I got the get your shit done and do it properly and don't be an asshole. But then I got the, oh my God, if you mess up, it's okay. And I got a little bit of that too, which helped me become the person I am today. I have that line where I'm like, okay, I can't be a little bitch about stuff, but at the same time, it's okay to mess up sometimes. It's okay to make your mistakes. And I feel like a lot of people learn that, regardless if they have that as a kid, they learn that throughout their life. But I've gotten that a little bit earlier. When I'm 20, I'm like, okay. And you know what? I'm still a little bit hard on myself when it comes to like success. And like you were bringing up, what's that? You brought up not depression, but it's like imposter syndrome. I have that 100%. Like I'm never satisfied with myself. And I feel like it's a good thing and a bad thing, but I'm also like, you know what?
Can be for sure.
Yeah, but you know what? And if I have those struggling moments where I'm like, okay, like, what am I doing? This, that, and the third. I'm like, okay, it's okay. I need to pause. I need to breathe. And then I can get back into that mindset of being like, let me destroy this shit. Let me take over. Let me do my thing. You know what I mean? So you need a little bit of that. It's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to retain yourself and kill it. You know what I mean?
Bounce back.
But if people have the other side of things where it's too much and it's like you're babied all the time, and so you start making excuses for yourself and you start doing the same thing for 25 years in a row and you start doing these things that aren't healthy for yourself as well. So you need both things. You can't just have, babied all your life. You need to be, somebody needs to smack you straight and be like, you need to understand what to do.
Well, it sounds like we all three of us were raised by single mothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll ask, Bran, being raised by a single mother, I can honestly attest to the fact that I didn't really learn what it was like to be a man until I had to be a man. You know what I mean? Like I was forced to learn to be a man before having any understanding of what a man was. And I'll ask you, being raised by a single mother, primarily a single mother, at what point, at 21 years old, do you feel like, you've really learned? Because you do seem to have a grasp on masculinity and you seem to understand that masculinity is in the decline in our society, which means you're aware of it, which means you're conscious of the fact that it's a necessary, element of our society. So where have you been learning that?
Well,
From me.
yeah. No, I feel like, well, again,
From
my
the boss
mother,
lady.
as much as she was a woman, like I grew up in a gay household, right? And she was like, she made a joke one time. She's like, it's okay, son, if you're straight. Like she made a joke, right? It's okay if you're straight. But then we talked about it a bit later, like when I grew up. I'm like, what do you mean by that? And she's like, people get too enticed in like what they're surrounded with. And like, that's what you have to be. She's like, I knew you were fucking straight the second I adopted you. Like, you're not some gay kid. I knew that. And does she love me any less or love me any more? No.
Of course not.
Of course not. But she taught me that masculinity. Like, it's okay that I'm a man. Like, why would it be a crime that I'm a man? I have to be, that's who I am. That's what I was born with.
That's what she adopted.
Yeah. And she didn't give a fuck. If she really cared, then she would have adopted some girl, right? And so she taught me that very well. Like, I got to give, like, I can't just say I magically did it by myself because
She sounds like a very strong, balanced human being.
I love her to death, man. Like I love her to death.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hate her, but I love her to death. But
That's normal.
We all know that. We all know that.
but
feeling.
I don't know. She always gave that to me, but I also think I did like have to teach myself at the same time. I don't think it was, I grew up with only women around me, and so I got to know women really well, and I had to understand like what being a man is. Like I never really, and I think I'm still learning right now. I think I'm not going to kid you. I
You'll
think
never stop.
I'm a young guy. Like I don't,
Of course.
but the moment where I'm like, damn, like I remember I was grade, I don't know, I was like 15 or something. I was in high school, and it was a physical altercation that came about. Oh, no. I was a bit younger, and this kid punched out my friend. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna stand up for him, this big tough guy. And this kid, let me tell you guys, he's 6'4", and we're like grade 8. This kid was huge.
Raised by.
I was scared. I remember the moment I was so scared, but I'm like, I don't care. He ended up tackling me. My friends jumped him.
Let me ask you this. In that moment, think back. What pulled that courage out of you?
And I think
because you must remember that moment that pulled that.
I don't know. I was so scared, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is what a man is. It's standing up for your morals and what you believe in, and how you want people to be treated around you, and not just getting pushed over by people. And I think that's with any gender, but that's what truly was like, okay, I need to stand up for myself, and I need to not get pushed around and not let my friend get hurt. And that's what I did. My mom, I love her to death, and she's as manly as a woman can be, but I need to learn what that means for myself, not what it means for her.
So this sounds like quite the defining moment for you.
Your aha moment.
Yeah. What do I think a man is? And what do somebody else think a man is? And what does society think a man is? And I think there's a healthy medium in what I and society thinks. Well, and I think people, and even me, and I think people aren't happy with sometimes what I think it is, because I think, you got to be a strong individual that takes care of people.
Well, it's clearly,
and there's nothing sad about that. Hey, when were people on the Titanic, were people complaining about men staying on the boat? No, nobody was fucking bitching about that.
No.
So we don't want to complain about when a man is manly, because it's okay for a man to be manly. It's okay for a woman to be manly, which I learned from my mom. I love her to death. She'll protect me over everything, right?
Well, here's the thing. It's we're in an ever evolving society where the nuance behind what a man and what a woman is ever changing, right? It's ever changing. And, I'm born in 1981. My idea of masculinity and femininity is going to be, formed by the era that I grew up in, of course. And, I'm always a work in progress, trying to sort of adjust to whatever has occurred in our society. But going back to going through high school and being raised by single women, what was being raised by a single woman as a woman? Like, what's it like to have been raised with, like, what's your relationship with your father? I don't even remember.
He decided to fuck off when my mom was going through some struggles, and that was kind of it for me as well. But being raised by my mom, I'm so fucking thankful. My mom's like such a fucking badass bitch.
She is.
Your mom's
she's unreal.
Like,
she's had a terrible, not the best upbringing. She's probably had one of the hardest lives versus successful people that I've ever met. And I live every day to want to live up to kind of all the shit that she's been through versus what she is now is so cool. Oh God, now I'm the pussy. But I remember growing up and my mom being like, ew, why am I crying? Being like, I'm not your friend, I'm your mother. So she raised me to be strong. I don't know why I'm crying. This is so lame.
Well, she sounds like she understood that there were two roles to play.
Yeah. She definitely raised me hard. I moved out when I was 16 because I was like, I don't fucking need you. I know everything. Biggest regret ever. I remember, ew. First time you see me cry. I remember one day my mom was parenting me as she should, and I remember saying to her I fucking hate you, and I think about that to this day and just feel terrible. I'm not even on my period and I'm crying.
Well, we're talking about a pretty
she's
deep-rooted subject.
She's a badass. She's a stage 4 cancer survivor, and when she was going through that, that's when my dad decided to start fucking around and pissed off, and my mom raised me as my mom and my dad and showed me.
What age were you when your mom was going through cancer?
It was my first day of hair school when I found out, and she told me.
Geez.
Yeah.
Talk about a stressful time to find that out.
And it was crazy. And at the time I was in a very physically abusive relationship, and I wish more than anything that I could be there. Ew.
Yeah, you're all right.
Podcasts suck.
You're all right.
But no, where we are now, in our life, she's my best friend. We call each other 20 times a day. You guys always see me FaceTiming with her. She's so cool. And I thank her every day for raising me how I was, because I could have went fucking left field and been living on the streets and been a a crackhead.
Absolutely.
But she wouldn't have never allowed that. Yeah, right. No, she's fucking awesome. And I hope that one day when I have kids, I raise them how she raised
Well,
me.
it's funny hearing you talk about how the things we say to our parents, like
terrible.
Yeah. It's there's definitely, those moments of regret as children where we're like, holy crap, how could we treat somebody who, had nothing but the best intentions and for us so poorly, But yeah, I guess sounds like she did a pretty good job at playing the man for you. Where did you learn about what a man is? Because you've found a pretty solid man, right? So obviously your mom has helped you and give you a pretty solid foundation to build off of, which is man, I mean, that's the hardest thing I think single mothers especially can have to do, is trying to set you off so that you can find the right people to bring into your life.
I think I learned from my sperm donor, I call him now, is what to not look for in a person. Like on our first one, we talked about marriage, and it's like through sickness and in health. And I want to know that, if something happens to me, if I lose an arm or if I lose an eye or if I fall sick, that my guy at home is going to fucking be right by my side that entire fucking time. And, I have a good read on people, and, I'm sure as shit if I lose both of my legs or, something, if I end up not being able to walk or something, Anson will be, still there to push my wheelchair, probably down a set of stairs once in a while, but he'll still be there. But no, I've definitely been through some shitty relationships, and I do look at the similarities and differences between what that person is like, kind of like my dad, right? And I think with my dad leaving in such a time that I kind of needed someone, so I kind of went left field and looked for that, like, not to say like a daddy issue, but to find somebody that will make me feel safe and secure. And it was the absolute wrong fucking thing. So to find somebody that is opposite of that, it really worked out.
So Anson, you find, is opposite of
my dad.
your dad.
Yeah.
Well,
Because he's a real man.
Well, yeah, sounds like, I mean, unfortunately, it became quite the pattern for men to abandon their post, and I think that became a common trait amongst adult men, because throughout society there was those generations where we stopped seeing discipline as a necessary thing, and men stopped learning about the concept of sacrifice, and your mom had to pick up that concept,
and she did it fucking amazingly. Still does.
And for women to have to take on that sort of both those roles in our society has become, it's become fucking detrimental, right? Like, we have a whole generation of men who are being raised by mothers who have to work 2 jobs and can't, teach their children how to be men, or their boys how to be men, because they're not men.
Yeah.
So how the fuck are they supposed to teach their boys how to be men? And I was one of those people who kind of came out of that first iteration of that society, or that generation of kids that were no longer being disciplined. And so for me, as I was saying earlier, I had to learn how to be a man basically after my son was conceived. My son being conceived, it was like, holy crap. All right. It's time to go.
Time to turn it on.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to figure this out, because you can't do what your dad did to you to this boy.
You got to break the pattern.
You can't do that. And so for me, it was like there was nothing that could stop that from happening. And I don't know what created that predetermination. Like, there was just nothing that could have stopped me from making sure that he had what I didn't have. But you want to talk about...
Oh, yeah. I have a question for everybody.
Yeah.
What is your biggest ick as a hairdresser? And for those that don't know what an ick is, kind of just makes you go, ugh.
Ew.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Mine is when you're going to cut around somebody's ear and they have chunky, crusty fucking smegma behind their ear. It fucking makes me want to eat drywall. And we see it too much. So wash your ears before you come for a haircut.
Yeah.
That does it for me.
Real thing.
Yeah. You?
Schmegma.
Oh,
Mine?
Yeah.
what's that word? I mean, as far as I know what that word means. I don't want to like.
Yeah, just don't think about it. But
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. You're welcome.
My older brother used to say that word all the time.
It's worse than moist.
And when he gave me the explanation as to what it was, I'll never get that image out of my fucking head. Ugh.
PTSD.
So the ick.
The ick. I see it now with girls being like, "Oh, that boy gave me the ick because he wears like socks to bed or like doesn't change his towel." Like, so what is your hairdresser ick? Like, what a client can do that you're just like, yuck.
You know, I don't really know. I mean, there are so many.
There's so many
so
talks on
things.
What's the
speakerphone during
biggest
haircut.
one?
There's so many things people can do.
First
where
one that
you're-
comes to your mind.
Well, you talked about. I mean, in relevance to the one that you mentioned, I'll never forget being in hair school and just recently out of hair school, and when you're still working on senior citizens as a client base, which for years I haven't had to deal with because primarily I've been doing balayage and color and that kind of thing, so I haven't had like the really elderly clientele, but when you start to see their scalp coming apart on your comb,
But they're old.
right?
The ear stuff I
I've
see on
had-
like 20-year-olds.
I
man,
know.
and
This
it's
is
like,
what I'm saying.
bruh.
So I'll never forget that happening, and then to still see it happening occasionally with younger people.
Unless
you
it's
know.
like a doctor thing.
It's not
Ask
like they have to be
questions.
ashamed of it. Like
No, at
like,
all.
Like because I see it all the time. Now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody's got dry scalp. Everybody's
Even
got
I have
flakes
it, hey?
or
Even
whatever.
Same,
I
bro.
Right?
have the
Put her there.
drift. Even I have the drift falling on my shoulders. Every
The
once in a while.
drift.
So it's all right, but just try to keep in tune with yourself and understand that. you
That
might
bad
have
breath,
issues.
brush your teeth or pop in a gum.
Yeah,
I don't want
gotta
to
be
smell
honest.
it.
I gotta be honest. I wonder sometimes, since I've become such a stoner, about my pothead breath. Like, I pray to God, and I'm so sorry if clients, if it happens, I'm sorry.
Just weed and coffee.
Like today, the world is not an easy thing to deal with, and being stoned most of the time does help make things a little bit easier to cope with. So I do apologize if I do have stoner breath occasionally, because I do smoke a lot of that sweet, sweet Mary Jane.
The devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce. Yeah. Where do we go from with your ick? What is
My
your
ick, it's different than your guys's. I've actually talked about this with you before. It's when clients, like, you'll start at your haircut. Say you're doing a skin fade, right? You're doing your thing, and like 2 minutes in, they start like,
Oh yeah.
or like you'll
Oh my
face them
God,
around.
dude,
and
I
they'll,
just
like,
dealt with this.
Like shut the like.
or
bro.
are you gonna blend this? No, bro. I'm
like-
leaving you like that. The fuck.
No, but it's like, but man, I've like we're 10 minutes in, like you're not like he's like, oh, can I look? You can, but you're not gonna like
gonna
what you
look
see.
like
because
shit.
You're not finished your
we're,
fucking
we're
haircut
nowhere
yet.
near done, man. We're nowhere near
So that's
it.
my biggest ick. It's small, but a lot of people do it.
It's large. It's an ick.
If you're getting a haircut, if you're already sitting in the chair and they're cutting your hair,
Let us do our shit.
The dude
because-
can cut. Let him cut.
Listen, if you're getting fucked up, you already sat down, so you're getting fucked up regardless. So just let it happen, and then just hope you're happy at the end of it, because that is the most annoying thing, and I hate it.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and I mean there are so many icks out there. There's so many icks. I mean, obviously being late.
Ugh.
And-
or no showing.
Or no showing.
No showing.
No showing.
that's a bad
Yeah.
one.
No show, no call, no warning. I'll just go fuck myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, and nowadays with things being progressively slower and people trying to, I mean, come on, no shows.
Yeah.
There's got to be no excuse for that at this point.
Well, and even
you
with the
know?
booking system we use, you get a text a week before, the text the day before, you get an email the day before. If you no show on that, you're a liar.
you are like,
Yeah. And you're getting charged a late fee.
Man, if you gotta go do your thing, man.
If it's important and valid, absolutely.
fucking-
Do you find that you can get late fees from
Oh,
people?
yeah.
Still, eh?
Oh yeah. Or if I don't get it, then they have to prepay half of their next haircut.
Yeah.
Because I have a waiting list of people that want their 45-minute spot. So if I'm sitting there with my thumb up my ass, I'm making $0.
Yeah, you're not losing money by telling them to pay, because if they fuck off, then they fuck off.
Yeah.
and
I find
somebody
it
else will come in.
difficult to acquire any, like my fees prior to COVID. Ever since COVID, it's been harder to enforce because people started to throw, well, what did you want from me? I'm sick. I've got COVID. What do you want from me?
That's the best excuse for
It's like,
anything.
okay,
though.
fine. Initially, it was like, okay, I can't argue with you.
Yeah.
And then a year goes by, and you're like, we've all had COVID now.
Yeah.
Like, you're still calling in COVID? Like, come on, man. I got a life to live here.
I think yours is a bit different though, because you have such a large service for yours. Like you waste 3-4 hours. That's $300-$400. For me, $40, 45 minutes. Like,
Sometimes you can only get two colors in a day.
oh, if that.
Right? And so if one cancels on you, it's like, are you serious?
You're waiting and waiting and waiting.
You know, and then you put your last minute cancellation out and nobody can make it because it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
or
Right?
today.
And it's a 4-hour spot. And unless they had the day off, they're not going to fill it. So, yeah, I mean, the thousands of dollars I lost from that. So, obviously, that was an ick for me. But, you know, it is what it is. You kind of just have to.
Another ick is
Comes with the industry.
true.
Yeah.
Or someone's sitting in your chair and they're already talking on the phone. Like, your time doesn't fucking matter. And they're just on their phone on speaker the whole time.
They come in with the Starbucks.
Oh, and they're late.
And they're
no, queen. That ain't for me.
20 minutes late.
Yeah.
And they've
And
got
you don't even
the
get one?
Starbucks. And no, but here's the crazy thing. Most of the time, I'll be honest, most of the time they did ask. They offer. Hey, I need some. But here's the thing. They'll be late for the appointment and show up with a full Starbucks. And you can see that thing clunk down on the counter. You're like, wait a second, that looks pretty full. You haven't been drinking that for 40 minutes. There's no way.
Sorry, I was stuck in traffic, but the traffic
Right?
is the Starbucks drive-through.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I'm really glad that we got to sit down with the new guy. I think, you know, I really do enjoy sitting with you and grilling people. I think this is kind of fun. I feel like
We could just start a roast.
I think maybe me and you
roast.
should do this with Marina next. And,
Yeah.
And you know, we've got 4 cameras, so hopefully, you know, who knows, maybe you can sit in on it.
I think you guys should do
Whenever
the UFC
you want me,
one.
man.
Oh yeah, no, we'll definitely
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
you
we
love the
will.
UFC, so
I'll sit out.
So I feel like me and my son can jump in on this,
Yeah,
and we
that'd
can
be
maybe
fun.
get
Julian,
a
you're
UFC
up.
thing
Dude,
going.
maybe even set it up on like where the fights are going. And we
That's
can
what my
talk
son
and
wants to
get
do,
going.
Yeah.
that'd be
and
fun.
we'll probably look into doing something like that.
That'd be super fun.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we don't want these things to go on for hours and hours and hours, so we're gonna have to learn how to
Shut her down.
Shut her down. But yeah, come and get your hair done at Collab Barbershop.
Yes.
Bran is the new talent, and of
He's
course,
killer at
check
Afro
my shit
hair.
out, man.
us old folk, we can still do a good job.
The Parkinson's lets me help cut hair.
But yeah, we'll wrap it up, and we'll see you guys in a week.